Hey guys, Max here. In this video, I'm going to go over the top 3 personal finance books I read in my early 20s that have set me up for a life of financial success. These 3 I would encourage to everyone on the face of the earth who wants to be financially successful. They've been really helpful, and the amount of things I've learned from these 3 books literally is worth how much I paid for the book 100 times over. Because the reality is if a book is $30 and you get one idea, that is an absolute cheap investment to make. I'm a big proponent of reading. Reading is the way we're able to put more information and learn more things a lot more quickly than falling and stubbing your own toe in your own experience. Learn from other people's experiences. That makes you a genius. And we all want to be geniuses, right? All right, one of the first books I ever read in regards to finance was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class do not. I'm going to read a couple quotes from it that have been really, really impactful. First one is, the single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth in what seems to be an instant. The reality is, your income and how much money you're going to make is limited to your personal development. If you are still acting like a first grader, you're going to earn the income of a first grader, which is almost nothing. Well, usually nothing, depending upon where you are. You have to expand your mind, learn more, and the really question is, what is your financial intelligence? The more your intelligence goes up, the more your income goes up. It's a completely linear path. It does take a little bit of luck to be financially there, but you're going to put the cards in your favor, stack the cards against life and for you in order to get these financial benefits. So your mind is your best asset. Spend a lot of time cultivating it. In school, we learn that mistakes are bad and we are punished for making them. Yet, if we look at the way humans are designed to learn, we learn by making mistakes. We learn to walk by falling down. If we never fell down, we would never walk. I mean, learning from experience. Reading books is great, but learning from your experience is how you do it. Again, you make a mistake in school, you receive a failing grade. How is that reality? Well, reality is this. You go to school, get a job, go to college, buy a house, lease a Mercedes. You follow this prescribed pattern and you're going to be good, right? No, that's not the pattern you should definitely ever follow. If you follow that pattern, you're going to be stuck in the middle class and you're going to be stuck living paycheck to paycheck or barely making ends meet every single month. The only way you can really learn, the only way you can actually say it actually worked was by doing it. Think about those things that you say, oh, I can't do that, or I won't do that. Well, why not? Why not? The only way you can actually learn is by falling, standing back up, and not falling into that ditch again. You don't fall into the ditch again, you find a bigger ditch to fall into. The mistakes become grander and grander as you progress, but if you don't make those mistakes, you never learn and you want to learn. If you realize that you're the problem, then you can change yourself. Learn something and grow wiser. Don't blame other people for your problems. Enough of this victim mindset. If you want to be rich, if you want to have success in life, you have to take responsibility for your actions. The reality is most of the problems that you're facing, there's one constant thing. You are probably feeding into these problems. Look in the mirror and really ask yourself, how am I contributing to this problem and how can I correct it? Once you ask those questions, as you seek, you will find those answers and you will correct those problems. Maybe not the first time you seek it to seek to resolve these problems, but the more and more you increase your intelligence, financial intelligence, emotional intelligence, all of it, the more apt you're able to solve more complex and more difficult problems. So ask first and then seek, and you will find it. As I said, I wish I could say it was easy. It wasn't, but it wasn't hard either. But without a strong reason or purpose, anything in life is hard. Now he's talking about being very financially successful. Again, if you don't have a why, a reason you're moving forward, that's why I really am a big proponent of vision boards that show you why you're waking up every morning. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't know why you're on this earth, figure it out. The reality is we're all on this earth to help one another progress forward. We're not here on this earth to be selfish little babies. Because the reality is, a newborn is an absolutely selfish being, but that's okay because they don't know any better. They cry until someone takes care of them. Don't be an infant. Don't be a 2-year-old. Don't be someone who cries when the issues are there. Figure out that life is hard, but the reality is if you have a purpose and a deep meaning, a deep why, you can progress and achieve anything you want. There is a difference between being poor and being broke. Broke is temporary, poor is eternal. Never say you're poor, ever. Once you put that in your mind, the reality is, I'm poor. You're going to embed that seed into your brain. You're going to water that seed, and it's going to bloom into being poor forever. You don't want that. Say you're broke. It's okay if you're broke. I was a broke college student at some point. I was a broke 20-something. That is okay. Everyone doesn't start at the very top with the silver spoon. Most people do not. That's okay, though. Say you're broke. Being broke is a temporary position that you can improve over time. So be broke. Do not be poor. In summary, this book was really helpful because it made me realize that the only way you can really have the riches and the wealth that I want, the only way you can actually have what you really want is by having passive income. You can make a ton of money as an employee, but the reality is if you're fired from your job, the money stops. Having passive income from different sources, specifically real estate, that is how you really get to the top echelon. That's how you afford the things that you really want. The passive income, you pay the least amount of tax as well as the least amount of work. Now, it's not easy by any means, but you put in the work in the beginning and then you can reap the benefits over time. That's what passive income is. Also, this book helped me realize that the one path to go to college, get a job, invest in a 401k, all those things, like, completely shattered. The reality is you don't actually need any of those things. You actually really don't need a 401k to be in really good financial shape. Believe it or not, a lot of people have no money invested in the stock market. I am one of them. I've invested money in real stuff. Real stuff that exists. I can hold, I can see, I have property. Property is way better than paper, in my opinion. All right, next book is The Richest Man in Babylon. This one really reads like a novel. I've really enjoyed this one because it breaks it down on really complex topics to really simple adages. It's almost like the commandments of financial literacy, the commandments of being financially well. This book definitely has those. I'm going to read a few quotes that stuck out to me. Advice is one thing that is freely given away, but watch that you only take what is worth having. Everyone has an opinion, seems like every day, about everything. Everyone has an opinion about every single thing that's happening in the world. The reality is, though, only about 1% or less are worth listening to. Have you ever had anybody who is terrible with money, has a car they're upside down in, doesn't own a home, doesn't have any investments whatsoever, yet they're telling you how you should invest your money? That's called a fake teacher. That's called a fake person. You want to find people around you and find these mentors and people who have done these, who have walked the walk. Talking the talk is super easy. This thing is really easy to use. Using these two things and using this thing is a lot more difficult. Don't let anybody who hasn't walked the walk give you any advice. Our acts can be no wiser than our thoughts. We need to elevate our thinking from I am here to I am here. The reality is the only reason you're not succeeding in life is because you have not elevated your thinking. Now, that doesn't mean your thinking by itself is going to bring you what you want in life. The thinking is the beginning part. You have to do step 1 before you do step 10. Step 1 is elevate your thinking. Stop breaking yourself down. Stop being so critical and give yourself some forgiveness. Have humility and know you're not perfect, like we are. Nobody's perfect. But know that forgiveness is the way to continue moving forward. Forgive yourself for being that bad person with money. Forgive yourself for being an idiot. But don't keep on berating yourself. The more you beat yourself up, the more wounds you have, the less you're going to be able to take what the good things you have in life and multiply them. You need to have a clear mind and have a clear ecosystem to move forward. Question of the day. What do you guys call the best financial book? I think it's Rich Dad Poor Dad in my personal opinion, but what do you guys think? Comment below. I want to know what you guys think. The reason why we have never found a measure of wealth, we never sought it. The reality is if you don't seek something, if you don't have a very, very vivid picture on what you want, you'll never have it. And I mean it needs to be laser focused. I want to be able to make $250,000 passive income per year in the next decade of my life. That's specific. Don't do the, I want to be rich in my life. Well, what if you're rich on the last day of your life? Hopefully, everything's not about money, obviously. But the reality is you want to be very specific on your goals and figure out what you actually want specifically. You want to laser focus that. Do not do the vague goals. They don't work. This is a really good book. I love the first quote. Advice is one thing that is freely given away, but watch that you only take what is worth having. Always keep tabs on people giving you advice, whether it is actual advice you should take or just something you should throw away in the trash can. And surround yourself with those who actually are giving advice that you want to take because they've accomplished what you want to accomplish. That is where it is. You are the sum parts of the 5 closest people to you. Are you the smartest one in your friend group? Are you the most successful? You may want to start upgrading your friends. All right, then last book. This one's a fun one. It really is fun. You are a badass at making money. It's all about money mindset and how you go from beating yourself up to I can do everything and more. There's a gap there, obviously. It's simple to traverse. It's very difficult, though. It's simple to do. It's also simple not to do. So the money mindset is what this book is all about. Successful people have good habits. Unsuccessful people have losery habits. Do you wake up late? Do you watch a bunch of TV? Do you play video games too much? Do you watch things you shouldn't watch on the internet and partake in things you shouldn't partake in? If the answer is yes to any of those, your habits probably are not helping you. The good habits I'm talking about are waking up early, exercising, reading, walking around the block, having intimate relationships with people around you. The good habits, it really is interesting. You can create a bad habit really easily, but you can also create a good habit really easily. And I say easily, but it's difficult. It's difficult to wake up early. However, if you do it for a certain amount of time, it becomes ingrained in you and it becomes second nature. It's really easy for us to blink while we are talking and while we're living. Why? Well, it's habitual. It's in us. It's really habitual for us to do most things. That's why if you can break your bad habits and then you have to do this, replace them with good habits, those good habits will stick. You don't want to have losery habits. And I love that word, losery habits. You don't be a loser. Don't be a loser. Figure out the ideal. Figure out someone you really do enjoy. What are the habits they have? Write down 3 of them. Ask them about them. And figure out how you can incorporate that in your life. You have to have the ideal, though. Who's the ideal in your life? Who's the ideal that you've seen? See their habits, incorporate them in your life, and make it happen. Because so often when we say we're unqualified for something, what we're really saying is that we're too scared to try it, not that we can't do it. The reality is you can do a hell of a lot more than you're doing right now. If you are bored ever in life, you can do more. There should never be a point in life during the day that you're bored. If you are bored, your calendar is not filled up enough. You have to start with small steps, though. Don't think you're going to run a marathon the first day. Focus on walking first. Focus on then jogging, then running. You have to start small, which then creates the larger things. The reality is, though, you have to do things that make you uncomfortable. The only way you can really stretch yourself psychologically and to become a upgraded person is by doing things that suck. Doing something that's difficult every single day. For me, it's waking up at 4:54 a.m., hitting the alarm off, standing up, and beginning my day. It's not really fun to read books at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's literally pitch black, quiet as could be, and no one else is awake. But I do it because it's difficult and I know it's good for me. So be courageous. You can do it. I promise you. If you think you can't do it, flip that switch and say, I'm going to give it a shot. Just give it a shot and see what happens. You might surprise yourself. When we're forced to do something, suddenly the time is there. Hasn't that always happened? You forgot about something that's really important and you only have one day to do it and you do that in one day. Something that may have taken you a week to do. It's really amazing when we put ourselves on hard deadlines. Like I tell myself, I have to record this many videos by this time during the day. If I don't hit that timeline, bummer. It's not like anyone's going to, beat me over the head or anything, but putting those deadlines in your mind and writing them down, that is how you succeed. Instead of saying, I want to read this book by the end of the month, say, how can I read this book by the end of this weekend? If you put yourself and ask those questions, you will answer them. And just like a snowball, once you do a couple of these and you surprise yourself in a good way, that clicks in your brain and says, oh, wow, I am capable of doing a hell of a lot more than I thought. Let's do it again. Do not waste your precious time giving one single crap of what anybody else thinks of you. Again, who wants to keep up with the Joneses? A lot of people do. They lease the brand new car. They buy the huge house. They go to the fancy restaurants to post on Instagram. The reality is no one cares. You may think people care. There may be that one random person who cares about you, but do they really care about you? Are they actually your friend or someone you want to be around you? The reality is probably not. So just stop caring what people think. Just stop caring. The only person, there's very, very few people you should care about what they think about you. Your intimate family members that you really, really care about your partner, and maybe a few select friends. But pretty much anybody else, like especially the public at large, you should not care one thing. You should not care one bit about what they think about you. There is something so freeing about being a free-thinking individual that does not care one iota what anybody else thinks. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be authentic. You should be yourself and be authentic. Book summary: elevate your mindset and your income will happen. Elevate your personal development, the income will start flowing. You have to start with step one, though, and that's upgrading your financial and personal intelligence. Develop yourself into the person you really want to be. Find an ideal, find someone who has already done it, and figure out the habits, the actual practical habits that they do, and start doing them. You can do it. You're a hell of a lot stronger than you think, and you definitely should and can do it today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to smash that like button, and I will catch you guys on the next one.